Chapter 2, question 15 and 16 are each asking you to complete a couple metric relationships. And so we saw in the previous question, question 14, how these prefixes are really powers of 10 that make a base unit larger or smaller in order to get a more intuitive number for you to work with. So here we just need to know the relationship between them based on that prefix. Now a useful table for this would be table 2.4, though I should point out there are 3 of these relationships that you would definitely want to have memorized. You would want to have the relationship memorized for centi, for milli, and for kilo. Now these are prefixes that can be used with any base unit, but just for the sake of practice, of example, I'm going to use meters here. So we'll have a meter, 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 and meter. Okay, the relationships you'd want to know is that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Think century is 100 years, or cent, there are 100 of them in a dollar. 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. Think a millennium is 1,000 years. And then 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So those are 3 of these relationships that you would want to know. For the other relationships, you would often be given a table, although perhaps not on the HESI. Okay, so the way that you would look them up on a table, and in this chapter the table would look like table 2.4, the way we would look them up is you would want to look for the prefix. Now here they're giving us a symbol. So we're going to look under the symbol column of this table until we find the symbol we're interested in. So for A on 15, we're looking for C. So I'm going to keep going down until I see it. Ah, here it is. Okay. And then I would want to go over, and you can see at the far right they have these equalities. So I have to choose between these 2 equalities that are given for centimeters. Now the one that we have has a 1 in front of meters. So which of these 2 equalities has a 1 in front of meters? Well, the one on top has 1 times 10 to the negative second, so it's not going to be that one. The second one down has a 1 in front of meters. It says that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, and so in this equality down here, 1 meter will equal 100 centimeters. And that would be one of the ones that you would definitely want to know and have memorized. Up your sleeve, ready for any emergency. Okay, how about B? Again, the process is we're going to look for the prefix. Now here the prefix they give us in B is N. So we're going to go to the symbol, go down until we see N. Ah, here it is, nano. So now we're going to look at the 2 equalities they give us for nano. And in here, they give us, in B, they tell us that we have to have 1 meter. So which of these equalities has 1 meter? Well, the one on top has 1 times 10 to the negative 9th meter, so it's definitely not that one. The one on the bottom does have 1 meter, and so we're going to fill this in using that. So 1 meter equals 1 times 10 to the negative, or 1 times 10 to the 9th nanometers. So 1 meter equals 1 times 10 to the 9th nanometers. Okay. For C, the prefix they give us is a lowercase m. So we're going to go to the symbol, go down until we see a lowercase m. Ah, here it is, milli. We're going to go over to the equalities, and we're going to have to choose between these 2 equalities. So what they give us is 1 has to be with millimeters, or with milli. Now, it's true that they don't have meters here, they're seconds, but remember, these prefixes always represent the same relationships, no matter what the base unit is. So the base unit could be seconds, it could be meters, it doesn't matter, the relationship is the same. So we're going to look for the one that has 1 in front of milli. And you can see that this top relationship has the 1 in front of milli. So that's the relationship we want to use. We wouldn't use the bottom because here the one that has milli has 1 times 10 to the third. That's not what we want. We want 1 in front of the milli part. Okay, so 1 milli anything equals 1 times 10 to the negative third of that thing. So 1 millimeter would equal 1 times 10 to the negative third meters. Okay, then D. They give us, the prefix they give us here is milli again. So we're going to go to the symbol, go down till we see it. Lowercase m, milli, we saw it just a second ago. And so now we will go over to the equalities. We have to choose between these two. And in the equation they give us, the 1 is in front of the unit that doesn't have the milli. Now we saw a second ago how this has the milli, there's the 1. We don't want that. We want the 1 to be next to the unit that doesn't have the milli. That's the case in the second conversion factor there. So 1 anything equals 1 times 10 to the third milli of that thing. So 1 liter would be 1 times 10 to the third milliliters. Let me write that a little more clearly. 1 liter equals 1 times 10 to the third milliliters. And just so you can see the connection, because I know in the table they use seconds, and maybe that would be a little confusing, but you can see the connection if you have 1 second equals 1 times 10 to the third milliseconds. The base unit, liters, is changing to seconds. But aside from that, everything else is the same. And so you can use these prefixes with any base unit, and the number relationships will stay the same. Okay. So that's 15. 16 is essentially the same thing. So we'll go through that one just to reinforce our thinking. So for 16, it says, complete each of the following metric relationships. Again, we're going to look for the prefix. Here it's a capital M. So we go up here, go to the symbol column, we see capital M is mega. So we're going to go to the right, choose between the two equalities. We have to choose between those two. Now, what they give us is 1 with the mega. So here we see 1 with the mega, so we want to use that top conversion factor. Notice in the bottom, the unit that has the mega doesn't have a 1 in front of it. It's 1 times 10 to the 6th. So we wouldn't want to use that. So it says 1 megagram equals 1 times 10 to the 6th grams. So 1 megagram equals 1 times 10 to the 6th grams, 1,000,000 grams. B, it says not applicable, so don't worry about that, N/A. For C, they give us 1 gram equals how many kilograms? Well, the prefix is lowercase k, so we go back to this table. We're going to go down from the symbol until we see a lowercase k. So, and there it is, kilo. Now once we find that, we go to the right. We're going to have to choose between the two equalities that they give us. The two equalities they give us. They want the 1 to go with the unit that doesn't have the kilo. So here, the 1 is next to the unit that does have the kilo, so we don't want to use this. In the other one, the 1 is next to the unit that doesn't have a kilo. So this is the conversion factor we want to use. 1 base unit equals 1 times 10 to the negative third kilo of that base unit. So 1 gram equals 1 times 10 to the negative third kilograms. Right? 1 meter equals 10 to the negative third kilometers. 1 gram equals 1 times 10 to the negative third kilograms. All right, last but not least, we have D. And D, the prefix is a lowercase m, so we can go back to this table. We're going to look at the symbol, go down until we see a lowercase m. There it is, milli. So then we go to the right, and we're going to choose between the two equalities we have there. Now, in the problem, we want the 1 to go with the unit that doesn't have the milli. So here, on the top one, the 1 is with the unit that does have the milli, so we don't want that. In the bottom one, the 1 is with the unit that doesn't have the milli, so this is that one. So 1 base unit equals 1 times 10 to the third milli of the base unit. So 1 gram equals 1 times 10 to the third milligrams. In other words, 1,000 milligrams are in 1 gram. And so you can use this table to look up the relationships between units. You'll see that these relationships between units are going to be essential for converting between them. Also keep in mind these 3, centi, milli, and kilo. You want to know conversion factors for those by heart.